There's an old saying in Africa, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that's why I'm excited to hear that together is one of First Quantum's core values. And it makes me curious about what that really means in practice. I'm Hamish Wilson. I'm joining you from Kenya. We're going to take a look at what it takes to build deeper connections. Now, I've worked all around the world in war zones and natural disasters, and I've helped build an organization whose passion is to help people work better together in some pretty tough places. For me, the bottom line is that having stronger connections, it's going to help you work better together, and that is going to help you achieve more and go further. Now, we're going to start with a story. It's a story of a company that didn't have strong connections, and it caused a crisis. And that is going to give us some pretty clear ideas about what not to do and ways that you can build deeper connections with the people you work with. So let's go. Northern Kenya is beautiful, but it's a wild place. A couple of years ago, there was a big company out here looking for oil, but pretty quickly they ran into some serious problems. They had bandits hijacking their convoys, they had gangs attacking their rigs. It started to spin out of control and it nearly shut the operation down. But it didn't take long to realize what was causing some of these problems. First, they didn't have good relationships with the world around them, with their partners or with local communities. And second, they weren't joined up inside the organization. Their teams weren't talking to one another, they just weren't on the same page. So this failure to have really strong connections, it was a recipe for disaster. So they came to us to help them figure out what to do. I know, right? That's a tough assignment. What would you do? How would you help them build deeper connections? Well, let me show you what we did. One of the first things that we asked them was, well, where are your common goals? What's driving you to work together? I'll give you an example. Their extraction teams were all about finding oil, but their outreach teams, they were working with local community leaders. But these teams, they were just fighting against each other. And we saw lots of examples of teams just working in opposite directions. But just think about your situation for a moment. Think about your big goals and priorities. Now flip that. Take a different point of view. Think of the people that you work with. What do they want? What matters to them? Chai tapadali. Okay, let's make it real. Think of your mining teams and the mobile maintenance crews. Now we know the mining teams, they're all about hitting their quota. But just imagine that they're running behind, but maybe they've hit some seam of high-grade ore. They don't want to stop. But the maintenance crews knows that if you don't, there's going to be a breakdown. Now there's a potential conflict right there. Now as a leader, your job is to find the sweet spot. It's that place where you've got common goals and shared targets, and you're going to be deepening your connections. It'll drive you to work better together. Asante sana. The second question we asked was, well, who are you talking to? Because we noticed that teams were usually only talking to people they already knew, but that shut them down from finding out what else was going on. Here's a good example. The security teams, they're only talking to politicians or business leaders, but they weren't talking to the local cattle herders. So they never realized they were drilling on grazing land until it was all too late. So think about the people in your network. Who are you usually talking to, and who else should you be talking to? And if you can, reach out, go and meet them, find out who they are and what's important. Because if you can build new connections, you're going to have more people to go to and to work with. And someday they might just save you from a real disaster. And all this took us to another question. How are you bringing people with you? Habari dada. Maji baridi. Tafadhali. Sante. You see, this company was in such a hurry. They were trying to move so fast. But just like in that old saying, they tried to go alone, not together. And they just left people behind. But look, I know we're all busy with deadlines and deliverables. So how do you maintain that commitment to keep working together when things are changing, moving so fast all the time? Well, the answer is, you've got to bring people with you. And out here, we found that one of the most powerful ways to help people really stay committed was just to keep inviting them in. That's it. You don't let them go. And for the teams that we were working with, that meant spending extra time in the staff canteen or working with the cattle herders under the tree, just listening to what people had to say. Asante sana. And then what we found was that over time, if you keep inviting people in to work together, to share ideas, solve problems, Over time, it'll build real commitment, real connection. And that's what you're looking for. So there you are, 3 ways that you can build deeper connections with the people you work with. Make sure you're working toward common goals together. Identify who else you should be talking to. And whatever you do, bring people along with you. Now, if you do these things, you're going to be living First Quantum's core values of bolder, smarter, and driven. But even more importantly, you're going to go a lot further and you'll achieve a lot more together. And that's what deeper connections are all about. So good luck. See you next time.